Water rushing into downtown Salem tonight. These are the images we'll remember from the flood of 2012. People forced to row their way around town. Roads turned into rivers. Homes filling with flood water tonight. Oregon's governor has declared a state of emergency in these 4 counties. They are overwhelmed by flooding. In Marion County, the view from News Chopper 6 shows just how widespread the problem is. Entire neighborhoods covered in water, and the threat of more flooding will continue into the weekend. We have live team coverage of the flood tonight from as far south as Albany up to Portland. And my co-anchor Kelly Day live in Turner tonight, a town hit hardest by the floodwaters. Kelly, what's the situation at this hour?
Jeff, it's awful here in Turner. I am on a flooded road right now. I've got these hip waders on. You can see behind me this entire road looks like a river, and this isn't the only one. You go up to the main intersection of town here in Turner, and basically each way you look, you're looking at flooded roads and flooded homes. Look at this house here. The water came right up to the front door. Someone tried to put sandbags there, but really it was a futile effort around town here. Dozens and dozens of homes are underwater. In fact, the estimates are about 200 to 300 homes are underwater here tonight, and half the town of Turner is submerged. Let's look at some of the video from earlier today. People were trying to get out of town. There were about 60 actual rescues done here in the town of Turner today. This whole thing started last night at about 1 o'clock in the morning when they saw all the creeks around town coming up too high, too fast from all that rain. And they basically started going door to door and knocking on people's doors and saying this would be a good time to get out. A lot of people waited until daybreak, though, and they got stuck. A lot of these roads flooded fast, and then they cut people off in different parts of town, and that's when those rescues took place. Again, about 60 people had to be rescued out of the town today. Tonight, a different story. The water is finally starting to go down a bit. Let's take a look at some of the video we shot when we got here at about 8 o'clock tonight. We could tell that the water was receding on a few of the roadways, but again, 200 to 300 homes still underwater, and it's very quiet here tonight because a lot of people have left town. They've got emergency shelters set up in Almsville and I believe some of the other surrounding areas. A lot of people went to stay with family and friends, and by now people stopped trying to drive through these roads because they know that they are flooded. We did see a few canoes around town as well. But Jeff, we talked to people who have lived here an awful long time, and they say they've never seen anything like this.
I've lived here 32 years, and I've never seen it like this.
Never. Not even in '96.
That's right.
Now, it really is sad when you go from house to house here, when it was still a little bit daylight, you look through the windows and you see people's mattresses, you see their furniture. You can tell that people grabbed what they could, their kids, maybe a couple suitcases full of belongings, and they got out of town. But again, this is the street. This is just one street, and they all look like this in town. We realized right down the street there's a fire hydrant just barely sticking up. But again, there are going to be so many people here who have lost a lot, Jeff, and it's going to be days before this water goes down. Back to you.
Okay, Kelly, we'll be checking back with you in just a few minutes. Kelly Day live in Turner tonight. Now, a rushing stream of water pouring into downtown Salem tonight, flooding a parking structure and state offices tonight. The main post office is evacuated, and school has now been canceled for tomorrow. Morning Local 6 reporter Cor Harlan shows us the area under siege.
In Salem, water from Mill Creek has jumped its banks, and it is all over the place in and around Salem Hospital. We're actually right now in the parking lot of what appears to be a North Bank Plaza, and as you can see, the accompanying parking structure right now, you can't park on that bottom level because it is at least windshield deep in water from nearby Mill Creek. Now, the creek itself, Mill Creek, is not all that big of a creek during normal times, but as I look right now, it is at least a quarter of a mile from where I can see this side of the creek running to the other side of the creek. It is very, very high. Some people who live and who work in this area are coming out here and seeing it for the first time, and it is nothing short, they say, of amazing to look at.
This is crazy. I mean, I lived in Salem and Staten area all my life, and I have never seen it this bad, ever.
All of the buildings around us were getting sandbags, and I'm at a flooring store, so we're getting everything up off the floor in our warehouse.
Back here now on the other side of that parking structure that we just showed you here, that's actually a Safe Corporation parking structure and building right next to it. This is a little entryway here where folks used to get into the parking structure. Let me tell you something for sure. When they designed it, it was not designed to have a fast-moving creek wailing right through this and flooding a good portion of the bottom level of this structure. Before we leave you, let me just give you a good example of how fast this water's moving. It's about shin high right here. But as you can see, it is roaring along here at a really fast clip. Reporting for you in Salem tonight, Cor Harlan, KOIN Local 6.
Cor, thank you. And tonight there was a candlelight vigil for the young mother and baby boy who drowned in fast-moving floodwaters. The car they were riding in was swept from an Albany parking lot last night. Rescuers found their bodies early this morning. KOIN Local 6 reporter Casey Montoya attended the vigil tonight. She joins us live with more on this tragedy.
Jeff, this is such a sad story. Family, friends, dozens of people in the community, about 150 to be exact, showed up tonight to pay their respects for this young mother and her baby boy who were taken away just over 24 hours ago. Now, members of the community showed up. We couldn't believe how many people showed up tonight to pay their respects. In the same place, 18-year-old Catherine McLaughlin and her 20-month-old son, Aiden, drowned last night. Now, the young mother and her baby boy, they were in the car with their boyfriend, 24-year-old Chris Wilgus, and his 5-year-old son, Maliki. The car was somehow swept into high water that was spilling over from a nearby creek. Wilgus and his son were rescued, but Catherine and Aiden's body were recovered today. And now those who love them are trying to make sense out of this accident.
It was a tragic accident. I'm sorry. Kathy Sue was, 18. She was, just a kid.
Wilgus and his son both recovering at OHSU tonight. And at last check, the 20-month-old son, actually the 5-year-old boy, he's in critical condition. Wilgus tonight in fair condition. And the Mega Food staff, they are still out collecting donations for the family. They say they will be out there tonight until midnight, and they will do anything they can to help this family who went through this horrific situation in their parking lot. And tonight we learned that there is some surveillance video of the car driving away into the water. It has been turned over to Albany police as they continue their investigation. Reporting live, Casey Montoya, KOIN Local 6.
It's very, very sad. Casey, thank you. And now to Corvallis, where people are using canoes to get around town. Some are trapped. They can't get out of their flooded neighborhoods. Others were forced to leave their homes.
We can't leave our house.
Yeah, we both called in from work and told them we couldn't make it out of our driveway.
So their only option was to travel by boat up and down their street. Now their neighbors voluntarily evacuated. In the hills north of Corvallis, everyone had to get out. A landslide knocked a house off its foundation this morning, and sheriff deputies say the risk of more slides remains high tonight. An evacuation shelter is set up at Crescent Valley High School. Portland missed the brunt of the storm, but we're not completely out of the woods. Johnson Creek rose to flood stage just this afternoon. Our reporter Dan Christopherson continues our live team coverage tonight. Dan, people who live there really dodged a bullet on this one, didn't they?
Yeah, Jeff, did they ever? And think about that Portland was a lucky one today. As I show you, the water's still raging along Johnson Creek tonight. But the best news they've had all day, only kind of a light rain overhead right now as these homeowners watch this river rage down near their home. What we're seeing is a recession around here everybody can live with. Water levels down, they're breathing a sigh of relief, but Johnson Creek did have people around here scrambling as the water level crept up dangerously close to their homes earlier today. We found homeowners bailing water from their front yards, and one longtime resident on Rusk Road packed his things up and headed for higher ground, fearing a repeat of the nuisance flood 3 years ago.
This house has been here 55 years, and that was the first time it ever got into the house itself.
Is it in right now?
Not yet, but we don't have a whole lot of margin.
We're helping these people with their trailers and stuff to get out of here, man, because this is their home, man.
Neighbors stepped in to help families evacuate just to be on the safe side. The people who live on this stretch of the creek are being critical of how the city and county are managing the floodplain. But along Foster Road at the creek, they're swelling up to 13 feet we saw today. Homes were not in danger thanks to phase 1 of the city's larger floodplain.
What this project does for us is alleviate flooding of these more frequent nuisance floods. So the floods that would occur about every, say, 3 to 4 years. And this has been a great test of the project.
Bottom line, the more water stored here, the fewer homes downstream threatened by the flooding. One closure to tell you about along Johnson Creek. These are photos of the Springwater Trail at the Hogan Bridge in Gresham. High water has forced them to close that area tonight. But it should get better, not worse. Bruce and our Pinpoint Weather team tell us these water levels will continue to go down overnight and be even lower in the morning. Reporting for you live near Johnson Creek, Dan Christopherson, KOIN Local 6.
There are a few other roads around Portland that remain closed tonight from storm damage. One lane of Highway 43 blocked at Military Road. A sinkhole has crews concerned, and the southbound lane could collapse. So they'll be out checking this first thing tomorrow morning. In Northwest Portland, Skyline Boulevard still closed because of a landslide. Northwest Cornell back open tonight after being blocked by down power lines most of the day. You can find a complete list of road closures on our website, KOINLocal6.com.